If you live in the state of California, you may have noticed that the cost of living here versus other states is through the roof. I want to go through an article really quick that we came across on California, Reform California, that is living in California imposes a $29,000 cost of living penalty on a typical middle class family. Now, we all know in America, uh, the middle class is what makes up the American society. It is really what allowed a lot of people here to thrive, to start businesses, to own homes. Don't necessarily have to be rich. I mean, we all want to be rich. We all really want to do well. But if you are someone who has a good education or ideas, works hard, has good work ethic, you can live a great life here in America. Well, what has happened in recent times is that the middle class has been getting squeezed. And look no further than places like California that has really decided to squeeze the little middle class to the max. Why? Because I live here myself, and I know that my dollars aren't stretching as far as when I go travel to other places. I remember some years ago, and I live in Northern California. I remember some years ago, I went to Southern California, matter of fact. So this is in the same state. And I went to a Target, and I was on a trip with some band members that I work with, and we were on tour. And we went down to Southern California. I remember going into a Target and buying a jacket and a couple other things. And I was kind of prepared to spend about $50, $60. I bought a coat. I remember buying some other things. And I spent literally $25. I was like, wait, what's going on, right? It was it was at that time that I really felt like Northern California, where I live, cost was already through the roof. Then I went next door to a burrito shop, and I mean the average burrito here, especially in the Bay Area, is easily $15. I spent like $6 on a burrito. Well, that was way before Saving America's Money, but I also really understand that the cost of living in Northern California is definitely more expensive than Southern California. Now, I think it doesn't really matter. I think all of California is just expensive wherever you go. So this article really does kind of hit on some of the specifics of everyday costs that living in California, that is what it takes, and how much more money we're paying versus other states. So we're going to go through this article, and I want you, if you are living in California, I just want you to think about some of the things that you've noticed when it comes to living here, and maybe some things that we can do about to help get these costs down. And we'll go over that in a minute. So let's talk about this really quick. So a bombshell report from the Transparency Foundation calculates that total higher costs paid by Californians versus national averages, and lays the blame for higher costs on California politicians for costly mandates and negligent policies. Now, I'm not going to get into the political scene here in California. And that is something that I've decided to kind of stay away from, but it definitely does impact our dollars. The folks who are making legislative laws here are absolutely impacting the cost of living versus other states. And we can see that no further than even like the cost of gas. So we'll go through that in a second. So California politicians have taken the middle class family making $130,000 a year and pushed them into a $32,000 annual budget deficit. So basically, Californians are losing money annually. Every single year, we're facing a deficit of about $32,000, simply because higher costs caused by state laws. That's not just unsustainable, it's immoral. The study reveals that the typical middle-class family earning $130,000 faces a shocking cost of living California penalty, $29,000, compared to if they have paid the national averages in each category. So we're going to go through a few categories in this article that talks about costs of living in California versus other states. Now, I also really think that this is important because if I'm someone new to California or even have been here for a while, like I have, I might start thinking about, hey, if my dollars don't go as far as maybe somewhere in Texas or Florida or Georgia, right? Those couple of places I've been and I really like. Honestly, I like the weather in Florida. I went to school in Georgia. And I don't know why, something about Texas, the people maybe. I always feel good energy, good vibes when I'm there. Just why I brought those three states up. So let's go over this. So let's just start with the middle class household income in California. $130,000 is pretty much what you need to make as a family to really survive here. I know here in San Francisco, they say if you make less than $270,000, you are effectively, in poverty. Well, I know I can make $130,000 stretch. I'm pretty sure everybody else can. But again, that is just really what it is to be middle class here in California. Average taxes is about $42,000. So off the top, you're seeing that our taxes just to live in California are around 42,000. The total monthly cost of living here in California is about $10,000. Okay, rounding up. Get that right. You're talking about housing. You're talking about food. You're talking about healthcare. You're talking about gas, insurance. All these things make up that number. Then don't even start putting kids in private school. That number probably goes up just a little bit more. Now, couple that with the total cost of living, if paying national averages, is about $7,400. So you can see right now you're already about $2,500 short from what we have to pay here in California. And now here's something that also is very important. Remember, that's just this number about $10,000 a month is only just to live. What about the other things that actually happen, in a year, right? Car breaks down, something goes on, there's a house repair, right? You want to take a trip, right? Someone passes away. Like there's unforeseen costs that Californians have to endure just in case of. So if that happens, annual expected shortfall for middle class families living in California is $32,000, right? So now that's not even talking about saving money, right? As this deficit grows, the savings get less and less and less. So we have to be really, be really cautious, right, about where our money and dollars are going on a day-to-day basis. So net cost of living, right? Net cost in California is $29,000, right? So what that means is that if you are going to be here basically living in California, annually you're going to have a penalty off the top every single year starting on January 1st of about $29,000 every year. Couple that in 10 years, you're looking at almost $300,000 every 10 years of cost. And remember, now this is just remember, if inflation continues to rise, if new regulations, new laws get passed, then those costs could definitely go up. I know they're not going down. So now let's look at specific line items and then kind of get to what some solutions are. The Cost of California report, we've documented the following cost penalty in each category. So housing, 124%. So homeowners in California pay 124% more in cost than homeowners in other states. And then 50% more for renters. Gas, obviously we've been seeing gas come down as of recently. I saw in Colorado, they're paying around $1.83 right now. So that's very interesting here in California. Gas has come down a little bit, but we're paying $1.38 more per gallon, which is about 50% more on average than any other state. I remember I was in Georgia last year, 2024, and gas was like $2.35. I couldn't believe it because, in California, I have to put in premium gas in my car, which is about $4.75 here in California. Food costs, 27% higher grocery bills, right? So again, family of 3, family of 4. I can anticipate your monthly grocery bills is being, anywhere from $900 to $1,500 a month. Water costs. So let me just tell you guys that the energy costs here in California is going up and up and up. I mean, water and energy is just, oh my gosh, increasing every single year. So water costs here in California are 48% higher than other states. Healthcare costs 5% higher. All right. And then our state and local taxes. Now, this is the one, see, this is where I think between energy and taxes, and that's not even including insurance, this is where California just really starts to not make any sense. State and local taxes are 45% higher. Now, couple that with already federal taxes, you're talking about if you take home $200,000, right? You're only really taking home probably 115,000 really of that money. Childcare is 51% higher. Electricity cost, didn't I just say it, is 101% higher in California than other places. And the last one, the one I hate the most, I honestly, I don't like. I mean, the reason why I hate this one the most because there are areas in California like Oakland that if your city has crime and whatever, that you're just paying higher insurance costs than other places. So our insurance costs here are 20% higher. Couple that with car notes and interest rates. I mean, costs are definitely going through the roof. So, what is the solution here, right? Well, one thing we need to understand is that the politicians in the state of California are consistently making deals with corporations, right? And what I'm starting to notice is that these deals aren't in the best interest of the consumers, right? Of the people who actually live here. So, just like the title of this article or the title of this website, if we really want to make a change in California, then we have to vote for people who are going to do the best by the citizens. Because again, if we're getting all these things, if we're paying all these costs, why is California the way it is, right? Why is our education system terrible? Why is homelessness on the rise? Why is the cost of living through the roof? Why aren't more homes being built, right? So, one thing would make sense if California had a lot of things going for them. I mean, if the infrastructure was great, wasn't any potholes and wasn't any crime, right? Like, great. Then I would gladly want to pay more in cost of living. But if the cost of living is getting higher, but the standard of living is getting lower, then we have to think about who the people who are leading us and what they're doing and question what policies are being made. So I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. I wanted to share this article. I thought it was very interesting. Let me know in the comments what you think. But for right now, be strong, be safe, and continue to save America's money. Peace.